Hello there, people of the internet. So, I got a story to tell you guys why I'm a little guilty of spreading some misinformation, but it's misinformation that I find fun, and to be fair, I do correct it afterwards. So, people that don't know a lot about guns, they see a big rifle, and they're like, oh god, I can't shoot that, the recoil is going to kill me. And for the most part, that's not really all that true. Real quick, sorry for the interruption, but I'm trying to get Patreon and Utreon supports to assist me with making more content like what you're watching right here. So if you want to help me make more content and make it more often, then Utreon and Patreon links are in the description below. Obviously, the things I'm doing here are not free, and much of it is not cheap. So I would like to be able to do more, but I need support to do it. So like I said, links below. Now, there's a lot of factors that play into recoil, but the size of the rifle, although it does play a lot into recoil, it doesn't necessarily matter as much as the cartridge. For example, this right here is a rifle that I show a lot of people. This right here is a 9611 Schmid-Rubin straight pull rifle. You guys have seen this on the channel before, but it's been a little while since I brought it out. This particular one has some trench art on the side, and I think that is actually very, very cool. I've made complete videos on this rifle if you want to go check out those videos. But I will break out this extremely large, long rifle, and people are like, oh my god, that thing is gigantic. Whenever you shoot it, it must like blow your arm off at the shoulder. And I'm like, yeah, it's absolutely horrible. Here, we'll go ahead and let you shoot it. And they're like, no, I can't handle that. That thing is a absolute monster of a rifle. And then I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, well, now that I've had my fun, let me go ahead and explain that this rifle has basically zero recoil behind it. Whenever I show them the projectile that it actually fires, they're like, oh, that's actually not that big of a round. Why is the rifle so big? Well, I show them the rifle, and they think that it automatically is an absolute behemoth of a rifle until I show them the projectile, and then they're like, okay, maybe the recoil on this won't be so bad. And then they go out and they actually fire it, and turns out the recoil on something like this is basically nothing. Now, the rifle, just because it is so large, that means it has a lot of weight behind it. And with that weight absorbs a lot of the recoil. And if you have yourself a nice small cartridge like this 7.5 Swiss, which is what this right here takes, then you're going to have not a whole lot of recoil coming at you from this rifle. Now, the reason that is because, you know, the laws of physics, all energy going in that direction must have also energy in that direction. So if you have this tiny little projectile going that way very, very quickly, and you have yourself a nice, large, heavy rifle transferring the same amount of energy this way, it's not going to take, well, it's not going to hit you very hard. Now, if you had yourself a lightweight rifle, like let's say this right here was a K31 where the receiver was much shorter, and let's say, you know, it was sporterized and there was way less wood on it, and let's say the barrel was chopped down, and this right here was like a fourth of the weight of what this rifle right here actually is. If you had yourself an incredibly lightweight rifle and you fired that, you would have the same amount of energy going forward because it's the same cartridge, and you would also have the same amount of energy coming back into your shoulder. However, with less rifle there to absorb the recoil, it is going to recoil harder and push more against your body. Less energy into the rifle means more energy into your body whenever the rifle recoils into your shoulder. That right there is like layman's terms of the recoil absorption of rifles. Now, as the projectile gets bigger and more energy is being transferred from the projectile, you need yourself a heavier and heavier rifle to be able to mitigate that recoil. The lighter the rifle, the more it's going to recoil, unless you have yourself an incredibly lightweight cartridge. Like, for example, if we had something that was this size and this weight firing a .223, I doubt you would even feel that the rifle is firing. However, if we had a rifle this size and this weight firing something like a 50 BMG, that might actually kill you. Like you would stop seeing colors for a minute and you would probably be knocked unconscious. Oh god. Well, this rifle could definitely not survive 50 BMG, but you get what I'm saying here. If we had a rifle that was this lightweight firing 50 BMG, oh God, hell hath no fury like the rifle's, butt on your shoulder. That's why 50 BMGs tend to be extremely heavy rifles and having extremely large muzzle brake on it. Which brings me to my next point here. If you have yourself a nice lightweight rifle, like if this right here was cut down, and you had a muzzle brake on the end to kind of push the rifle forward with the hot gases that are pushed out from the projectile, then that will help mitigate the recoil, so you can get away with having a very lightweight rifle firing a relatively powerful round. It's not going to be 50 BMG powerful, because 50 BMG even with a muzzle brake, oh God. A lot of times your lightweight rifles will also have like a really nice rubber butt pad on the back to really help mitigate recoil as well. And if they're a semi-automatic system, then that semi-automatic system with the recoil spring and whatnot will also help mitigate recoil. But if you have yourself a bolt action rifle, whatever energy is left from the rifle absorbing goes directly into you. So there's not going to be any sort of system to stop that from happening. Of course, 7.5 Swiss is not a particularly potent round to begin with. And as a result, this rifle right here is definitely way overkill. Of course, this was designed with a black powder ammunition in mind. Back whenever these rifles were first, well, not this model of rifle, but back whenever this style of rifle was first being made, and eventually they moved on to like semi-smokeless powder, and then they moved on to full smokeless powder. Well, during that time, with these burning at way higher pressures than black powder rounds, they weren't sure how strong they needed to make their rifles, but over time they learned that they could get away with much lighter weight, much shorter rifles, as opposed to a very long rifle like this. Long barrels are definitely necessary for black powder ammunition, way more necessary than smokeless powder ammunition. Okay, so this extremely large, heavy rifle firing this .308 diameter bullet downrange, it really should not produce much recoil, which is what you're going to see here in a second. Yeah, for how powerful this rifle is, really not much recoil at all. As a matter of fact, I kind of don't like how heavy this rifle is. I would like to take it hunting, but geez Louise, this is a behemoth of a rifle. Absolute overkill for the projectiles that this thing was using. Don't get me wrong, 7.5 Swiss is not exactly a I almost had it. 7.5 Swiss is not exactly a anemic cartridge, but it's definitely not 50 BMG. And out of a rifle that is this size and this weight, man, that is really not that bad to deal with at all. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Like I said, I am a little guilty about making people say, oh God, I could never run that. It's a big gun. Must have a lot of recoil. And that's something that people who don't necessarily know a lot about guns, that's just something that they jump to. Big gun means big recoil, right? There's so many more factors that go into that than just something as simplistic as that ideology. Anyway, like I was saying, thanks for watching, folks. Subscribe, like, share, typical YouTube outro here. Description down below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go ahead and go check that out. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are down below, and I will see you on the next video. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen.
Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.